To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. If God could do it last summer, then I know He can do it again. Stefan?
I know what God did last summer. I'm not worried about this season I'm in, for if God could do it last summer.
Welcome. How are we this afternoon? Welcome to KCW Moments, Unplugged, Real Talk from a Christian perspective. We're unplugged, real and relevant. My name is Kimberly Williams, and I welcome you to my show and my co-host, David E. Carter, coming and hailing from Baltimore, Maryland. We're excited to have you today. But David, what's going on?
There's a lot going on, but I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here with you, and I'm glad we are launching the show today.
Yes, it's Black History 365, and we're making history today. It was a long time ago, God told me that this would happen, and so today we are making history. A few years back in 2010, David, I started a show, but I did it over a telephone line, and I had people calling from all over the United States just talking about the goodness of the Lord, and we would pray, and we would seek the Lord, and people's lives were being changed. And then I just kind of took a sabbatical and did some work, activism out on the street, and that's how we met. But here we are. We're live. We're real. We're unplugged, and we're going to try to be relevant. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm excited to be here. First of all, I want to thank WBGR for having us here. Mr. Lionel Green and his great staff here at WBGR. I thank Tim Day, who was the one who recruited me to come in and do the show, so we're excited about them. I want to say a special shout out to our sponsors, Marky D Productions, who's here, and Marky D Photography. And yes, we are speaking things into existence. He will have production in the back of it after a while, but he's here with us today. And I just want to say I'm thankful for him taking pictures and candid shots, and also to my stylist, my hairstylist and makeup artist, Shalette Wright. I'm excited about what she's doing with Beyond the Mirror in Fort Washington, Maryland. So today we're going to start out, since this is new, I'm going to bring one of my old callers that used to call into my radio show back in 2010. His name is Joshua Ivan Austin, and he's calling in from Los Angeles, California. And so we're going to bring him in on the line. Ivan? Hello? Hello. I'm sorry. Who's on the line?
Is this Kim?
Yes, it is. Who is this? I got callers already. Y'all be doing real good. Who is
Hey,
this?
it's Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hello. I was just listening in because I can't get on my computer right now.
Oh, okay. So I'm glad you called, Lisa. Tell me what's going on with you.
I just trying to catch up on everything with my nonprofit today. That's what I'm doing. Relaxing, running errands and all that kind of stuff today.
Well, that's great.
That's happening with me.
Thank you. Well, Lisa, tell me, we are real and we're relevant and we unplugged. So we going on schedule, off schedule. Lisa has a great nonprofit. She's doing a great work down in Waldorf, Maryland with kids that she's helping them with literacy. She's helping them writing books. She's helping them just overcome a lot of bullying in different situations. Lisa, tell us the name of your nonprofit organization.
It is called Beyond the Classroom, Inc.
Yes, Beyond the Classroom,
All about
Inc.
exposure.
Yes, it is, and we love Lisa. She's doing a great work. She also works with SunTrust Bank, and we're just excited to have her. So, Lisa, thank you for being our very first caller on Unplugged. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, now should I stay on here just to listen, or what do I need to do?
If you want to listen, if you want to continue to listen, you can log on to Facebook, and we're live on Facebook, and you get to actually see us.
Okay.
And go Facebook Live. It should be on my page now, and you should be able to see us and communicate with us. Send us a few messages, and if you have any more questions, I can answer you from Facebook Live.
All right. I will do that in a few minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
You're welcome.
See you, Lisa.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, now we're going to go back. Ivan, are you on the line? Hello? Did we lose him?
Kim,
Yes. How are you, Joshua Ivan? How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well.
That is great. I was telling our listeners and our viewers that you were one of the first people who used to join us back in 2010 when we first started Unplugged on a teleconference call. So I want you to tell me, what did Unplugged do for you, and where do you see and the excitement of where we're going?
Man, I am just, first of all, I'm happy to be able to join you on the broadcast today. I mean, let's get excited about that. And what was it, 2000?
In 2010.
2010 is when you started, and I guess the feelings that I had were feelings of comfort, feelings of unity, how we all used to get on and kind of like encourage each other, because I believe at that time we were all kind of going through different little situations and different struggles in our own individual lives, and to be able to come on a small, conference line and not just, release some of the pressures that we had been going through at that time differently, but to be able to get on the line and talk about some of that stuff and really get down and talk about it. I think that was the most exciting part about my week. It really was the most exciting part about my week, to be able to come together because you had listeners also on there from different parts of the state too.
Right. It was awesome. We had people from Memphis. We had people from Atlanta, New York, California. We had people from all over the United States that would call in and on Thursday nights, and we would be on the phone. The show was supposed to last David for 1 hour. It would last until midnight. People would just be asking questions and just talking and talking. And so this time I was like, okay, how are we going to do this? Because my people love to talk, but we confined to just 1 hour now, right? So, and we got to talk about different things. So, but I'm excited. I'm excited about what God's doing in your life, Ivan. Since then you've moved away from the D.C. area. You are a Washingtonian. You're a native Washingtonian. And now you're in Los Angeles doing great things. You work with the Tamar Braxton Soul Train Music Awards. Okay. You have done a lot of things. You've come out with your different clothing lines. And so we're excited about growth. And that's the subject and the topic of our show. We're making a comeback. You understand what I'm saying? This is our season for such a time as this that God has preordained for us to be here. The years that we went through, the stuff that we went through throughout the years, it was our building season. It was our building blocks. It was the making of us. But the scriptures tell us that it's not to the swift or the strong, but for him who endures to the end. So we thank God for that enduring power. But I'm excited, Ivan. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're on the call with us. I thank you for the testimony.
I'm really glad to be here, and I'm more than glad because I got to see. I'm privileged to get to see not just you get on the radio station, and not just you from 2010 to now 2018, your growth. But I'm able to see you behind the scenes as well. I'm kind of privy. I tell you, I really do take that as, a privilege, and I just wanted to share that with you. I know, she didn't set me up to say anything. I just wanted to say that to you right now. And I wanted to say it because I see where you have and the line and the people from that era from the line has kind of caused you to take up this attitude of going forward and reaching new levels and going in new territories and enlarging your own coast by yourself, and doing it all by yourself. Like you said, when we kind of took a break from the line, I kind of, was commissioned to come to LA. And so we would spend almost every day together. That's how tight we was.
Yeah, it
and
was
we're
amazing.
still very, very close.
Yeah.
But as far as like physically, we were really tight. And when I left, I know that took a toll because, we kind of traveled also in ministry. And so for you to, decide upon yourself that you still going to go further and you still going to reach new levels and now you're here, I'm just privileged, to be able to come on this line. And I know so many great things are going to come out of this radio broadcast. I know so much great things. So I can't wait to listen in. How about that?
Ivan, this is David. Once again, thanks for coming on the talk show today.
How are you, David? I'm good.
I'm doing great. I have a question. You experiencing your own growth and witnessing Kim's growth as well, and you see the progression. What words of encouragement would you say to those that are either stuck where they are now or trying to jump into that realm where they can begin working in their purpose?
That's funny that you say that, David. And thank you also for allowing me to come on. It's funny that you say that because I've been right there in that realm of scope, trying to break down the science of, how to really go forward in that next phase for people that have been in that place of decision. In that place of decision towards going towards more, going towards their increase or whatever have you, or that place of 2018 that everybody has been talking about,
right.
that new place. It's really, to be honest, it's already in you. It's already in you, and it's really about understanding your own struggle. You got to understand your own struggle because your struggle is the first and foremost assistant that will help you get to that next place. Your struggle is your assistant. And when I say your struggle is your assistant, meaning you have to lean in or tune in to what is the thing that's causing you not to move forward, expose it, dissect it, and learn from it. Learn from your struggles. Learn from your faults. Learn from your mistakes. I tell people all the time, it's the play. It's when you're in your most vulnerable state that you'll find your secret power.
Wow.
You'll find your secret intelligence. And your secret intelligence is already in you. You just need that consciousness to ignite it. And you need to be very conscious of, what has been the main thing that has been setting me back or holding me back? Is it fear? Is it, procrastination? Is it the people around you, and so on and so forth? You got to really begin to dissect those things that become a struggle to you. And once you dissect it on purpose, not just dissect it because, it's there, or, we all acknowledge in some degree what is causing us not to move forward, but to study it on purpose and with purpose, it brings out a different illumination that you had no clue about, and it will cause you to begin to get tunnel vision. Dissecting your struggle will cause you to get tunnel vision, because after a while, it's like you get tired of looking at the people on your left or your right and saying, seeing them move further or move along faster than you or than where you ought to be.
That's true.
But not until you take the moment to say, you know what, let me focus on me. Because really, to be honest, success is the journey of self-gratitude.
Oh, wow.
It's self-gratitude. When you start to spend your energy, spend more time, more energy, more of anything that you can say that is valuable to you. Once you spend more time on focusing on what that is on yourself, then you'll start to like see, okay, the bigger picture.
That's true.
And like with Kim, Kim, I don't know if I should say it, but Kim, we go back and forth and we tell each other, hey, today I'm dealing with this. I just need you. We bounce off ideas on each other, and we bounce off like situations on each other, and we help each other like that. And sometimes Kim, she'll get in the rut and she'll say, I think I'm starting to self-sabotage myself.
That's good.
And I'll say, like I said to her the other night, I said, Kim, it's really you self-sabotaging yourself when we spend more energy on thinking that someone else's idea is greater than mine or is better than mine. I told her the other day, I said, to be honest, I had to set myself free on my own journey and where I'm trying to go by just saying, you know what? Taking the responsibility of the care of worrying about how fast I'm moving or the success rate of my movement. The fact that I'm moving, period, is the success. All I have to do is keep moving and not worry about how fast, how much I'm moving. Not to get biblical, but even the Bible declares that the race the race of life is not given to the ones that is the fastest, that is the biggest, or that's the greatest. It's given to the ones that endure to the end.
I want you to get out of my words. That was my opening. And every time you open up the line to a preacher, they're going to talk, and they're going to have 12 openings and closings. But I appreciate my brother Ivan. I appreciate him very much. And it is key. I want to tap on something, David. This is something that I was dealing with in my quiet time a couple of days ago. And I was like, God, who do I need to have around me? Who do I have to, and when he mentioned that we used to talk, and we would call on the phone. And I encourage everyone to find that accountability person, that person that you can talk to. David, when I met you some years ago, I met you by way of my daughter. She was actually Breonna Patterson. She's Dorn now, Breonna Patterson Dorn. She was doing a speech in Baltimore for the National Action Network. And when I met you were doing some work with security. And then later on, you became one of my mentees. And so, but it is, and I would say to you all the time, it's very vital that you have those key people around you, especially in this season. And like our subject is, we making a comeback. It is vital. And so what he had given me, he said, you need your prime players around you. Your prime. You need those 5 people. He said, and then he broke it down for me. And he said prime meaning that P meaning that prayer partner, that intercessor, that one that's going to get your back, that's going to be able to tap into you in the realm of the spirit when you down and you out. Those times when you're not speaking, but they can still hear you speaking so loudly. And then he said you need the person with the right resources that can tap you into the right resources to get you to your next place. Then he said you need someone with that eye who can deal with your image. Image is everything.
Yes, it is.
Image is everything, And then he says you need to have that right mentor, and you need to have that right person that's going to keep you engaged. And so I said, okay, I need to get my prime players in line. And so it's very key. But I thank you, Ivan. I thank you for calling in from California. I noticed you had to get up a little early this morning. And again, I'm excited. I hope that we can see you here live in the studio one day when you come back over to the East Coast with us little people, when you're not hobnobbing with those big entertainers over in L.A. But I'm excited for you. I thank you. I thank God for what he's getting ready to do in and through your life. And I'm just honored to hear, when you have gone through, like I have, and David, the struggles that we've gone through, and then somebody comes and say that they were blessed by your life. It's really humbling. And it's really real. It's real, and it's relevant, because so many times we as people, we take people for granted.
Yeah.
or either we take them for granted in a sense that you think they're going to always be there. We know as a millennial, David, we know in our in your generation, in Ivan's generation, we're losing our sons and our daughters at epic proportions in African Americans and black and brown men and women. We're losing them. And we have to make a comeback. We got to come back, but it's going to start in the homes. We got to start at home. We got to start on our block. One thing that excited me about you, David, was the fact, I remember you coming to me and said, I think I need to make a run. And this young man, I'm telling y'all, Baltimore, you better look for him, for him. We coming. He's coming for y'all. He's going to run for city council. We're going to get behind him because we need these types of young men to be the change that we need on our blocks. David is not, when he wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but he didn't allow that to keep him from being the change that was necessary to get out on these streets. I don't know, some of y'all might recognize his face. I don't know. Y'all might recognize his face on the front cover of the Baltimore Sun after the Gray situation. The young man was on the street with the bullhorn. The police, he called. I remember him texting my telephone and him saying, he was texting my cell phone and he was saying, if something happens to me, I didn't kill myself. I didn't do it. He said, but the helicopters are following me in my car. And he called myself and he called our friend, a dear friend, Ebony Riley, that's a DC bureau chief at the National Action Network. And so he was putting out the call, but he was on the street. He wasn't afraid. You weren't afraid, David, to get out here and do what needs to be done.
It's important that we have to make those connections and call those people when we're going through stuff like that.
That's right.
Because so many things have happened recently and even beforehand that we have to send those calls out and say, look, something's happening, but I'm okay. I'm still gonna be here. I'm not going nowhere. But
right.
We have to do that. We have to, that's how we keep in contact. We're touching bases with each other, make sure we're safe and we're accounted for.
Yes, and that's vital. That's vital. So this is what I want you to do. Again, we are live here at WBGROnline.com. If you want to go on and view this online, if you would like, you can go on your phone and you can download the WBGR app. Or you can follow us on Facebook at WBGR Gospel Network, David E. Carter, Kimberly C. Williams, and KCW Williams Enterprise. Or just be a friend with some of us. I know some of us, like me, I only got a few more slots. David, you got a few more slots.
I have a few, yeah.
So that you can keep viewing. We'll be here every Saturday from 1:45 to 2:45, doing what we do, keeping it unplugged, keeping it real and relevant. David, some of the topics that we're going to be embracing during this season, we're going to be talking about socioeconomics. We got to get our mind right.
We have to.
Got to get our mind right. We can get all of the services that we need, but if our mind isn't right, we're going to keep doing the same thing. We got to break old habits, and we have to uproot generational curses of poverty and bring forth generational blessings and generational wealth. We're going to be talking about financial change. We're going to be talking about politics. We're going to be talking about relationships. We're going to be talking about things that we cannot talk about in church. Everybody, I'm telling you, listen, everybody is waiting for that topic that we hit where we saved, sanctified, but we still having sex. Can you tell me how we doing that one, David? How are we doing that one?
We just want to jump in.
We're going to jump in. We're just going to jump into it, but we're going to keep it real and relevant. We're going to be talking about things, how things are, what are really happening, what's really happening. David, like I said, when I met you, we were on the front lines in the movement. We thank God for Reverend Al Sharpton. He really opened the door for us, and he really taught us a whole lot concerning the movement. We were on the ground. It's not beautiful. It ain't, some people say, oh, wow, man, you get to go here, you get ready to go there. You were on the microphone, you were standing on the stage, but they didn't know that we didn't have no sleep for about 5 days leading up to that.
That's right.
They don't know about the work that we're doing in the trenches, and that's something I want to give voice to. A lot of times you hear people coming against Tamika Mallory, the Janae Ingrams, the Angela Rides. We work hand in hand with these young ladies, and they are bringing forth this women's movement. They are being a backbone. They are standing on the shoulders of those in this great Black History Month, the Martin Luther Kings, the Al Sharptons. They're standing on their shoulders coming forth with a new generation, because what we have to understand, I hear so many times, and I remember sitting and talking with you and Brianna one time, and you know how we were talking in dialogue and how people would say, oh, this is our movement as millennials. This is our movement. This is our movement. And I remember saying to y'all, this is not your movement. The movement started back in Greensboro. The movement started back with Rosa Parks. This is just a moment in the movement. You understand what I'm saying? It's just a moment in the movement. And so we're going to talk about that in the months to come and the days to come. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to help people be empowered to know what they need to do in their communities, on how to make a difference, how to make it real and relevant so that you can run for office. We can't just talk about we don't like our politicians, but we have to position ourselves to be the politician. If you want to see change in your neighborhood, you have to become the change. Another thing that I love, I've been talking and writing a lot these days, and I came up and I was having a conversation with the Lord. I always do that because, you know, it's just me and him right now. And so he was like, Kim, you have to be in order for it to come.
I think you need to say that again.
You have to be in order for it to come.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You're not an author until you wrote the book. You didn't even turn one until after you lived a year. You have to be it in order to become it. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. It's real. It's relevant. But a lot of people, we miss it. We miss it because we think, oh, we got to get the title. You didn't come here to sit on the radio. They don't know your struggle before you got to the radio station. They don't know how many bullhorns and how many times you were running through the streets of Baltimore. They don't know when you were in the schools and trying to find out what's going on with the schools and the public system in Baltimore. And a lot of times it's people like yourself or myself that people don't even know. It's like a Ebony Riley. It's like a Wakenia Clanton, who's now with the DNC, and she's doing great work. The Ebony Rices that was big with the Obama administration with healthcare. It is these young ladies and young men like David and myself that we're out here, we're on the ground, and we're doing the work. But the good part about it is we don't mind. You can take the shine. We don't mind.
Absolutely.
We don't mind because it's always got to be somebody to do the work. And one of the other things that I always wanted to talk about as you're making your comeback, and God is positioning you, and you are reaching people that you never thought you would reach. Never lose sight of servant leadership. You got to be a great leader. You got to be a great servant. So I'm excited. We are unplugged, real and relevant. You understand? We're keeping it real.
Let's talk about it.
So let's talk about it. So David, what's on your mind today?
Well, I know we're on the topic of making a comeback, and that's very important because as a millennial, when you're in your 20s, you feel like you're running out of time. You feel like there's nothing else left for you to do. You've missed your mark where you were supposed to start, and now it's about to end, and that's not true. You know, it's okay for us to take breaks from, our work. It's okay to take breaks to work on self-care. But you have to understand that your purpose remains the same and that you must continue to follow that and chase your dream. With my production company, our Fair Power Productions, our motto is making royalty a reality. Yes, and we take that very seriously because, as you said before, you have to be already living in that image that you're in, that purpose, that you have to live in your purpose before the purpose even becomes your reality. And when we talk about our clients and people that we encounter, we let them know that we're going to treat you like royalty because even though you may not feel like it or you may not see it, we are already speaking that into existence. That's very important with millennials because we have to know that it's okay that you didn't go to college until 25 or you took some years off after high school. It's okay because you can still get that done. Your purpose still is active. It's still there. It's not going anywhere. No one can snatch that away from you. Right. So that's very important that we touch that, and especially with the millennial generation, because we need to know that. We need to be reminded of that constantly.
Exactly. And another thing I want to say in conjunction to that, as a person who's not a millennial, I am aging. I'm not getting old. I am aging, because wine does get better with time. You understand what I'm saying? So I am aging, but one of the things, the heart's desires that God put in my heart was to help be the leverage to young people, to help be a leveraging, someone who aims the arrow and we shoot you in the right direction. That has always been my heartbeat, to be able to get millennials in the forefront and to see, because we have to change the vision that everybody has on millennials.
Yes, we
you know
do.
what I'm saying? As we're making this comeback, I think that we have to make what the new norm is. There's more young men and young women out here that are not bent over. They're not twerking every day. They're college graduates. They're doing great work, like your counterpart, Mary Pat Hector.
Yeah, Mary Pat.
We're doing a great thing. Shout out to Mary Pat Hector. So we are really doing. We have a season and a group of people, even like with my photographer that's on the other side of the desk, Marcus Williams. He's doing a great work. He's a young man, but he's not just sitting back and waiting. He's going ahead and he's producing his vision. He's starting from the bottom, and when he get there, I'm just saying, I just need a ticket. I'm just saying, can I get a ticket to somebody's show or something? But I'm just saying, it is great to see. It's really great to see, and I know that we are making history here. I know that you're making history in your family today by sitting here. I know you have really overcome odds to be here today. So can you tell the people about the odds that you overcame as you were making your comeback?
Well, most definitely starting now. It's been, if you want to start now, then you're like, okay, this has been a while since someone in my family has done something like that. But if you think back, it started with my great uncle, Cisco Alexander Carter, who was a doctor of social work. So he did many things with radio. He did many things with kids, and he moved to New Jersey and started this organization called IEE. And what that did was that helped children that were underprivileged, that weren't able to maybe go on a field trip, or maybe to go take trips on their own to the movies or something like that. And in the meantime, while they're doing that, they're also getting the educational tools that they need in order to progress in life. Right. So what he did was he made it where he didn't have to rely on federal funding. He made it possible so that they could, get what they want without restriction. Mm-hmm. And with that step of, of faith and courage, he allowed these students to become doctors, mm-hmm. dentists. I mean, they became lawyers. And even to this day, even after he has passed many years ago, even to this day, they still talk about the impact that he had on his life. Yeah. And I, even though I've never met him, mm-hmm. my family is continuously talks about him. Mm-hmm. We have things that pictures and documents, and he's with Esther Roll at dinner and things like that. So you think I look back to that when I'm trying, because I recently took a hiatus. So me jumping back into this realm of work, I have to rely on those memories, on those the impacts he had on others, and find out like, okay, he kept going till he couldn't go anymore, and even then he was still going. Right. So I have to realize that is, it's possible, and that's what I use, and that's what I continuously remember in order to push through some of the odds that come my way.
And that's amazing. That's amazing, because what you just talked about was a legacy.
Yes.
So the question is, in your comeback, are you leaving legacy? Are you a moment? There's a difference.
And in the movement, we always say this is this is not a moment; it's a movement. We say that all the time. It's always
perpetual. You got to always keep going. I always say this, that your faith. People say faith. We talk about faith. And it's like, I believe. Well, if you believe, your corresponding actions would line up with what you say. If you're not moving towards it, I used to always joke you when we first started, because you came in here, you came in kind of calm.
I toned it down today.
You toned it down today, because I'm telling y'all, this new Gucci glasses, Ferragamo, everything, smelling good, everything, Coco Chanel. And I was like, David, how you in the movement? You walking around with this coat on? They not gonna believe you, right? And so, but you have always presented yourself as royalty. And it's so amazing, because in order for that to happen, even though you may have looked at where you were in your current, there had to be a paradigm shift that took place in your mind.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, so you had to hit the shift. There had to be a paradigm shift that take place in your mind to say, it's no longer a smoke screen. It's no longer something that's sitting here. This is a facade. It's not what it is. Because when this smoke clears, when you see me standing in all my glory, giving God the glory, ultimately, that you're going to see that there was a shift in my mind. And that was the thing I think that our forefathers took. And that's what brought them along in the movement. And Black history, and with the Malcolm X's and the different people, they had to have a shift in their mind.
Had to.
It had to be a shift. And that's what it's going to require in this day for millennials, in this day for older generation. We can't be so detached from the millennials. They don't want to listen. They don't want to listen. Well, guess what? They must be mirroring something. Now, you got to have a little give and a little bit of take. And I know even in the movement, when we talk about social justice, there's some kickback. Some people don't want to move. Some people don't want to pass the baton. One thing that was exciting to me when you and my daughter Brianna were talking about this march that we're trying to work on, y'all mark your calendars for August 2018. Yes. We're going to try to take over D.C. because we're getting ready to bring a million. We're going on a road to 1 million millennials to D.C., where we're going to say and we're going to decree and declare that no longer can they make laws for us and about us without y'all to the table. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
They got to bring us to the table. It was really, really, really important. I don't think they understood the power of the millennial vote until the situation with Hillary and Bernie.
I agree with you on that. I definitely
They didn't understand it. They couldn't have understood it.
And I think that millennials, during that, they were kind of under the radar as far as people acknowledging us. But, when it came to the, down to the wire, they were like, oh, we missed something.
We missed something.
We have another chance at it. You know what I mean? But now that we have a chance that people are watching millennials have to then act like we're being watched. You know what I mean? Right. And I say that not in to be discreet or anything like that, but I'm saying we have to live our truth. We got to speak in our truth, and we also have to know that if we want the baton, we have to be ready for the baton.
Exactly.
So we have to take accountability for that as well.
That's true. The scriptures tells us that we're not to provoke you to wrath. The scriptures tell us that, children obey your parents. It's different things. But there is a younger generation that God is moving forward. There's a shift, not only in the paradigm, which is the mindset set, but there's also a shift in the rankings. Things are looking different. We got to, as my book, I love to read. It's a quick read, Who Moved My Cheese. We got to move. And a lot of times we don't want change. We don't want to change. We're stuck in our things. In the church, you find it in the church where we're stuck in religion. And God, more relationship. And it's no more so much bondage. I know for me, David, when I realized, look, I wrote my first book. It'll be released at the top of this quarter, later on this quarter, and it's called Another KCW Moment. And one of the things that I tap on is the spirit of rejection. And I remember getting close to the end of the year, and as I was writing, and I started studying the spirit of rejection, and when I found out that it was mistaken identity, that thing was like...
You're going to have to break that down.
Aha moment, as Oprah would say. It was like, really? Mistaken identity. In other words, I have placed my identity in your thoughts.
Oh.
I had given you the power to determine what my identity was, which means then you tell me what my worth is. Then that means you can tell me how much I need to get paid. Then that means you can tell me where I can go. It's mistaken identity. And we as African Americans, black, brown, yellow, green, or whatever, we got some mistaken identity. And we have to get back to the Creator. My identity is in God, not in man. So now that I know where my identity is, there's nothing you can say. The smoke is cleared.
Yeah, it's funny you said that. Jay-Z did a interview, not the one with Van Jones, but he did recently talking about his album 444, and he talked about how there was a time, and even now it happens that when people come out or they'll walk past you and see you looking at them, and they want to catch an attitude. So Jay-Z says, oh, you think I see your pain. You think I see what you're going through, right?
Oh, wow. That's good. That's
you want to know, like, why are you looking at me? You know what I'm going through or something like that? And that's not the case at all. And that really correlates with what you just said.
Yeah. And then how about this? I would take it a little further and say, how about you can love me through and past my pain?
Oh, wow.
Can you love me through and past my pain? Can you? But in order for you to love me through and past my pain, you have to love yourself through and past your pain. And there's a grace that should abound. So when you see my pain, you can tap in and say, wow, maybe it's not them. So you know we're unplugged, we're unplugged, real talk, real and relevant, but we're coming from a Christian perspective. The other day I was in study and I was talking to my prayer partner, Elder Jenny Budget out of North Carolina, and the Lord gave me the scriptures of Ephesians 6, and I said, God, that's the whole children obey your parents in the Lord's scripture.
We know.
He said, go a little deeper.
Right.
Which took me into the full armor of God. And so I was like, okay, I'm really one of those sticklers for words. So I got the keyword Greek. I got the King James Version. I got the New Living Version. I got 12 versions laid out in my bed. You understand? And so I'm just like, okay, what are you saying? So, but when you get to verse 11, he says, put on the whole armor. But then when you get to verse number 13, it says, take on. I said, put on, take on. There's a difference there, right? Mm-hmm. So, but in that first passage of scripture, it's talking about your mindset. And it says, so that you'll be able to stand against the wiles, which is the methodologies of the enemy that comes to distract your mind and systematically get you off out of the pace in the trajectory of your destiny. And so then, but the next one talks about the defensive and the offensive armor that you put on to physically fight off. And so I was like, wow, that's amazing. So God, what are you saying? He said, it's all in your mind. And when you get to that place where you know your identity and you're no longer trying to figure out who you are, you reach that place of destiny. You reach that place of purpose. And then you can make a comeback.
Now, how does one do that? Because a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to tell you. Hey, I'm one of them women. I know I'm black don't crack. I'll be 49 this year. It's not a game. You understand? So, but it took me almost, I'm going to say, maybe at least 40 of my years to even get to that place. Because of abuse, coming out of abuse, coming out of bad marriage. It wasn't bad. We just outgrew each other. Coming out of a divorce, coming out of rejection, coming out of working in systems that try to hold you down, and just stuff that just kept building upon from childhood. Rape, all this stuff, children, wedlock, all kinds of crazy different things. It was just like compounded depression that I didn't even know was there, compounded oppression. And so it wasn't until when I started journaling to write my book, Loving Me Through and Past My Pain, A Journey Through Life in Search for Right Relationships, I thought I was just going to be writing about the people that I've had relationships about. And he's like, no, I need you to love yourself through and past your pain. And so you have to get to this place, David, where I had to finally forgive myself. Because the truth of the matter was the issue or the problem, the infliction of pain happened here. So from here to here, most of the people that inflicted the pain, they're no longer in your life.
Well, Kim, why would I have to forgive myself for something someone else did to me? I want to know. I want to know, you know. Because you have to figure, and that's where stubbornness comes into play. And
you have to forgive yourself for allowing it to give it power, to keep you from doing and going and doing what you know you're able to do. In other words, if your father wasn't there, you forgive yourself for the years that you allowed that voice to say, maybe I'm not good enough. Because if my dad didn't think I was good enough, no one else would think I was good enough. You had to come in agreement with that thought. That's why the scripture says you got to take captive of every vain imagination, every thought, that if it's not truth, it's illegally trespassing. So when you come to your truth and you know, I'm more than enough. He was just a vessel. And I'm not wrestling against flesh and blood. He's not my enemy. But what he says in his actions and his belief were not the truth. So I don't have to come in agreement with it.
Okay.
But for a long time, most of us come into agreement with it subliminally. I came into agreement with the pain that I was feeling. Unbeknownst to me, I thought I was a baller, shot caller. I thought I had it together. You understand what I'm saying? Till I started encountering me. When you start encountering yourself, and it's not pretty, like you said, you just came off your sabbatical, you had to face David.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me, and you had to say to yourself, no more. You had to look at the good, the bad, the ugly. You had to process. And then once you process and you get to that truth, own it. Receive it. Own it. But learn. Process. And then what's not yours, dispel it. But you have to forgive yourself for holding on to it too long and allowing it to hinder you from moving forward.
It's funny that you went into this this topic as well, because I was doing my research about making a comeback. What is really making a comeback? How do you make a comeback? and one of the rules, and it was so common with so many other people that interpret that meaning of a comeback. One of the rules was make peace with your situation, which you just broke down to no return. Which is good, because people have to understand you have to make, in order to progress in life or anything that you try to do, you have to make peace with your situation.
That's true. You got to. And that's a hard thing to do sometimes, because when you make peace with it, you have to confront it.
Yeah.
And most people don't even want to confront other people, let alone themselves. See, you can move from city to city. You can go from job to job. You can go from church to church. Mm-hmm. You can go from one man to another man, from one woman to another woman. But you can never get away from yourself. You can never get away from yourself. Those self-inflicted wounds are usually the ones that take you out. It's the stress of it all. It's the silent killer. It just sneaks up on you. And then it just holds you captive. It holds you in bondage that you didn't even realize. But when I finally, like I said, when I finally came into myself and I started writing the vision again, I had written the vision, but I never really walked it out. Because the first time or first sign of adversity, I would kick back. Or the first time someone would come, see my strengths, want to keep me in a box. And then I said, wait a minute. You can't box me in. There is no box.
So in other words, you started to make peace with that situation, and you were like either knocked down by yourself or knocked down by those that didn't believe in your change.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. Because you have to believe it yourself. Again, you have to be in order for it to come. You set the trajectory of how people are going to receive you. Mm-hmm. Like you said about millennials, we have to take accountability. We have to own our part. Absolutely. And once we own our part and we walk this thing out, they can't know. How about this? You said no longer can you make laws for us and about us unless we're at the table. Well, guess what? There could be. Ms. Chisholm said they may not never invite you to the table. So you got to bring your own chair. That's what she said. But I'm going to add to it and make some more Black History 365 on this day. Forget bringing a chair to the table. How about I create my own table? Make enough noise, and after a while, you're going to hear it. And then you're going to want to come sit at my table. But then you're coming on my turn. You understand what I'm saying?
And sometimes you have to take that. You have to take that
approach.
You have to
take that approach. You have to take that approach in order for you to make a comeback. Because in order for you to make a comeback, that means that you had already had some type of momentum. You had already reached a certain place of success or a certain distance into your destiny. But there was a stagnation. There was a halt. Mm-hmm. And whatever that was causing you to halt, it's just like you have to now push back a little. You got to rev up, and you have to overcome the obstacles. But then what you have to do is you have to really understand and realize that after a while, because we serve an all-true loving God, there's really no obstacle. It's a facade. It's a smoke screen. And then once the smoke really clears, you like, hold that. There was nothing there. I was holding myself back. You understand what I'm saying?
That's right.
Your mind. And when the paradigm shift takes place, it not only takes place in your mind, then you begin to speak things into the atmosphere and the stratospheres and the hemispheres, and things have to start aligning themselves up. And the shift begins to work itself together. But this is one of the things that I've learned recently. And I want to encourage you and the people that are listening today. I want to say this to you. Even when you make the paradigm shift, please, whatever you do, make sure you give yourself the grace and the time to overcome. It's not going to happen overnight. You're still going to reach obstacles, and things are going to still come to destroy you. Things are going to still come to discourage you, but you got to press past it. You got to push past it, and you got to get your mind right. You know what I'm saying? If your mind, you got to feed things. You got to get those right prime people around you. Anything that's not lining up with what the vision that you saw, you need to cut it off.
I want to give our listeners out there, everyone listening, I want to give them half of the 10 steps to make a comeback.
Go ahead.
Okay? So the first one we already talked about was make peace with your situation. The second was start and stack, which means, you talked about that, starting to make that change. But even though you fell back, you continued to stack. Every time you started, you were stacking from the very first time that you started. Become determined to turn your pain, loss, and suffering into something great. Use the power of words for good. And last but not least, and Kim, you do this a lot, lift up others and help them get what they want in life. And it's amazing that, you talked about what the steps that we should take and certain things that we should take into consideration. But what people don't know is the amount of love and passion and work you pour into others to make their dreams become a reality, to make their royalty a reality. And sometimes I think when we do that, it's nothing wrong with doing that, but we also have to fall back and say, look, I have to put that work into my purpose, myself.
That's right.
So and those are the 5. You want the other 5, you have to check us out next week.
I know that's right. I know that's right. You got to come back because this is getting ready to be amazing. It's going to be great. And what I really love about it is this intergenerational thing. I am big on intergenerational cross conversations. We're going to have guests that are much older than me. Well, I don't get old. That are aged more than I. They're going to be maybe younger than David, in between David and I. And we just want to talk about it. We want to give it in all perspectives, come with all different types of ideas and different things. We're going to keep it tight. We're going to keep it right. But at the same time, there are many voices. I used to tell people all the time, I used to do nonprofit administration, and my focus was in the church. And a lot of people say, oh, this is a church, and you're trying to run it like a business, baby. It's an organization with many administrations and many organisms to make it alive. And then, of course, you got a lot of people, and we're going to touch on this on the 7th, when we go into closer to President's Day, the show before that, we're going to talk about how Trump just signed the bill over that's going to do away with the separation of church and state, and you got pastors out here jumping up and down thinking it's a good thing because now they can talk about politics. Really, you need to stay in your lane. Yeah. For real. But you need to really understand and get past what the media said and read. There's an underlying subliminal message. Of course he wants to separate it. First and foremost, Trump is not a president. I said it. I approve this. I approve this message. He's a businessman first. And so you can't hate him for his business savvy. You need to start thinking a little bit alike. You got to understand your adversary. A lot of us don't want to study. We don't want to study to show ourselves approved. Oh, I'm not coming in his presence. Oh, I don't want to talk to him. Oh, I'm not going to listen to him. You better listen so that you can be strategic in your warfare. So you know how to come against him. Because if you don't, you're going to be stuck. I tell you all the time, ink yourself. He's a businessman. Get the tax break. The poor, you're just working for somebody else. You can never acquire wealth. You might get rich, but they're going to be wealthy, and they're going to have legacy. Always, always ink yourself. Do business. Cut yourself a check. Think long term. Don't think right here. You got to think about what's to come. So, but again, I'm excited. We got 5 more minutes, y'all. We made it through our first show, David.
It was so smooth.
Thanks
to all our listeners.
Yes, I'm excited. We have 5 more minutes, and I want to shout out again our sponsors. We are thankful for Shalette Wright over at Beyond the Mirror in Fort Washington, Maryland. She's the one that keeps me fly, keeps the hair done, the hair did. I'm going to just be myself, okay?
Let's do did.
Okay? She keeps the hair did, the face beat to the gods. You understand what I'm saying? I'm thankful for Marky D Studios and Marky D Photography, the great photographer who did my photography for my photo shoot. And he's done the work today, and we're excited about the work and the collaborations that we're going to be doing. Check out his Instagram page at Marky D Photography and Marky D Studios. He's working, and he has a Valentine's special, February special going on, talking about, what is it? He's killing it. It's February madness. I mean, it's a millennial thing, okay?
Yeah,
I wasn't quite understanding, but it is a millennial thing, okay? And so, but if you need some headshots, something, support our young millennials, support our young men that are out here doing it. He's out here doing it. He ain't on the street. He ain't gangbanging. He ain't slinging. He out here doing it. He go to work, and he got his side gig. So I'm encouraging you to take care of him. Take care of him. Call him up. He'll come to you. He'll bring the studio right to where you are. If you're looking for your face beat, you're looking for a hairdo, make sure you call Shalette Wright. And if you want to look her up on Instagram, she's at I am Shalette Wright. We are thankful for David Carter, David E. Carter, all the way from Baltimore, Maryland. He is my mentee. I'm excited for what we're getting ready to do. David, when I'm not here, I'm sure you're going to be able to hold it down.
Absolutely.
You're going to hold it down for us. We're going to do great things, and I'm excited that God allowed me to be in your life for such a time as this.
Likewise.
I'm excited about what he's going to do, and if I can help you do anything, just know I'm there. If you want to follow him on Instagram, he is at President _ Carta. CARTA,
right.
okay? Because he's calling things into existence. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I am at KCWmoments. If you want to follow here at WBGR, you can go to WBGROnline. You can follow us on Facebook at WBGR Gospel Network. We're thankful again to Lionel Green. We're thankful again to Tim Day. I'm thankful for my great assistant, Patrice Underwood. I'm grateful for my pastor, Alan H. Gray at New Vision Kingdom Life Center, and the illustrious queen, I call her queen, Monica Gray. I'm thankful for what they're doing. To my friends, to my family, to Ivan, Joshua, Ivan, Austin, thank you for calling in. Thank you for the great word. To those people who were not on the call today that was with us from the beginning, the Sadie Chadwicks, the Lotarsha Lees, all the way from Memphis, the Fanny Crafts in Atlanta, I thank y'all for believing in the vision back then so that I can sit here today. If you want to give into KCW Unplugged Real Talk, where we keep it real and relevant, make sure you go to Facebook, send me a note, and we'll get you the things that you need in order to make a donation. In anything that we do, it is about community. We're trying to help the community. We're trying to have a back-to-school jam this year. We're trying to feed families for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. We got this March coming up. In our back-to-school jam, it is my goal. I'm trying to give 300 underprivileged kids new laptops. And so I'm excited. Anything I do, it's about community. And we just want to thank you. In my another KCW moment, as we begin to close, I always got to leave you with a moment. My moment is I want you to understand and know that failure is not only optional, it's mandatory. That lie that it was dispelled and was told to you so many years, oh, failure is not an option. If you never fail, you will never succeed at life. If you never fail, you will never learn at life. So I'm going to encourage you today to say that failure is not only an option, it is mandatory. The key thing is don't ever give up. Thank you. This is Kimberly C. Williams, and we're signing off on Unplugged, Real and Relevant from a church perspective. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. We did it.
We did it.